Hello, this is video number 3, Mathematicas. It's one of my favorites, and it's important, and I'll be skipping a lot of it, because I have to be at an appointment in too soon, and I'm already running behind. So, math. First off, remember, math is the test that gives you the longest amount of time. You have a whole hour to do this test, but you also have 60 problems, which means there's about a problem a minute you need to do. Now there's some great things to work on time stuff. We'll get into that. But the very first thing is make sure you read the question and know what it's asking you. Including, make sure you know whether or not you should use your calculator. The ACT is designed so that someone without a calculator can still do every problem. Alright, I've done that on the ACT. And a lot of problems which your first reaction is to go to the calculator are easier if you don't use it. Don't jump to it first off. It's a tool, it's not a crutch. Okay? Okay. So make sure you know what the question is asking for. And along with that, write things down. Even if you're using your calculator, write down the intermediate steps. This is one of my biggest weaknesses. I think, for me, more than half the problems that I get wrong when I take these tests myself are attributable to the fact that I don't write things down and I get them confused. So do that. That'll also help you keep from making simple mistakes. Okay? If you do get stuck, then you can go back and plug in answers. Whatever you do, the ACT folks actually recommend that you try and solve it first before you even look at the answer choices. I think they're kind of crazy. Kind of. I think that's a good idea for most people. But sometimes it does get easier. If you are going to pick an answer out of the 5 choices, always start with the middle one, the C or the H. So they're always listed in either ascending or descending order. That one will make it easiest, because you start there, you know if you need to go higher, you know if you need to go lower. It'll work for you. And also, along with picking numbers, when you have variables in a hard problem, x's and y's and z's and a's and b's, pick simple variables, or pick simple numbers to fit in for them. 1 sometimes doesn't work, but 2 and 3 are great. 5 is great. It's often good to stick with primes, as you don't have to worry about 2s and 4s, which one's influencing what. But you can do that and then solve the problem for this and figure out which equation matches it. Okay? You also can go with one of these things, the Sesame Street principle is not like the others, and look for the one that is odd out. Let me see. It's kind of too late to learn formulas. Remember that with geometric figures, the area is always a function of base times height, length times width, whatever. And then in 3-dimensional solids, all you're doing is adding that 3rd dimension. Base, height, depth, length, width, height. It's just that simple. Don't freak yourself out. Volume equals area of the main face times the 3rd dimension. Okay? So, with that, make sure with word problems you know what you're doing. Make sure with ratios you're setting them up. It doesn't matter which way you set up a ratio as a fraction, so long as you put the same things in the same spot. For comparing triangles, write 2 shortest sides here, 2 longest sides there. Or first triangle in these 2, second triangle in these 2. But it doesn't matter where they are as long as the same types of things are in the same spot. It can be shortest to shortest and longest to longest as long as the same 2 things, okay? So write things down. Goes back to that. Figure out what the question's asking. Certain word problems, write down what the equation is that it's trying to get you to solve. If you need to, rewrite the equation, and you'll be fine. That also applies to foiling it out. There will be a question that's like x minus 3, close parentheses, quantity x minus 3, cubed or squared. The answer to that is not x squared minus 9. It is not x squared plus 9. It is x squared minus 6x plus 9. write it down and FOIL it out. That is x minus 3 times x minus 3, not x squared, negative 3 squared. Okay? Okay. Remember the difference between mean, median, and mode going into statistics and probability. The median is the number in the middle if everything's all lined up. The mode is the most common one. I've never seen a mode question on the ACT. The mean is the average. Add them all up, divide them by the number there are, and you've got it. Okay? Probability is normally really straightforward. It's either a quick division problem or it's going to ask you how many of something can we have. Normally, there's the problem of how many outfits can we have, how many types of sandwiches, whatever. Multiply them all together. It's easy. Watch when you get into the more difficult problems, the algebra, the geometry. Make sure, again, you're answering the question that they ask, okay? If you solve an x, make sure that the answer is asking you to solve for x. Sometimes it's asking you to solve for an angle that has x in it, which could be like x plus 20. It could be 3x. It could be 180 minus x. Make sure you know you're answering the right thing. Alright? Remember, if you see inequalities on a graph, when x goes up, it moves right. I don't remember. Is this right when you're viewing it? Yes. When x is greater than, it moves right. When x is less than, it moves left. When y is greater than, it goes above the line. When y is less than, it goes below the line. It's really straightforward. Vertical angles, perpendicular is 90, 90, 90, 90. Two lines are perpendicular when they are the negative reciprocal of each other. So 3 and negative 1/3, or negative 2 and 1/2, or whatever. And you might want to recheck your formula sheets, glance over all that stuff. Most important, though, for many of you with timing issues, if you're looking for 25 to 26, start at problem 40 to 45. Sprint to the end. Alright, do only those problems at the end that you know you can do and that you know you can do quickly. Spend maybe 5 minutes at most on those 15-20 problems, and then go back to the beginning. Now you have 55 minutes to do 40 problems, or to do 45 problems. If you're shooting for a lower score, even just a 22 or 23, start at problem 35 and do the same thing. Sprint to the end. Spend 5-10 minutes and go back and use that time to get things right. Remember, it's not about finishing the test. It's about getting the answers right. I've told the story before. It happened again at this last test round with a practice test. One of my students did better answering 30 questions in 30 minutes, not percentage-wise, whole score-wise. He got more correct answers doing 30 questions in 30 minutes than he did doing 60 questions in 60 minutes. Alright? Break it down. Take it piece by piece. Do the test that way. Do the problems that way. And don't freak out.